Here we go. We're going to change it to this for now. Alright, so, patch notes. Easy thing to start with. Yeah, easy thing to start with. Not a lot of changes, but some good ones. Ao Kuang attack reduced from 5 to 4. This is a very good change. Hold on a second. See, this isn't gonna like change too much about him, but it means that he's gonna be less potent of a body, even if the spell immunity is relevant. Just so you guys know, Chinese took a huge hit this patch. It's going to take a huge hit this patch. I think the patch is going live early next week, and I'm not positive whether DreamHack's going to be played on it. I didn't get to watch the patch notes. I was at work, but I'll tune into the VOD later to see what they talk about that. Let's see. Athena, health reduced to 6. Not going to change a damn thing. A damn thing. Ao Kuang, probably not going to change himself that much. Athena, not going to change herself that much. Both are still very good cards. It's the fact that Ao Kuang was a 5/5 for 5 that also had the best ability in the game. Probably one of the best abilities in the game. So like he was a very efficient creature and also had a ridiculous ability. Bastet cats are now considered beasts. Cool. Calamity. Calamity, I believe, is that 2 mana, or it is 3 mana right now, but it's the Chinese card, right? That stuns in a column. Yeah, stuns all enemies in target column. And now it's reduced to 2 mana. Cataclysm also reduced to 2 mana. Stuns weren't good enough, apparently. Not good enough. And that means they're going to get better. You know, having now there are 3 different ways to stun. 3 different ways to stun. Deathwalker's now hosting me? Yo, sick. What's up, everybody? Thank you, Deathwalker. But yeah, so Calamity, Cataclysm, not going to be like a huge change. I don't know if we're going to see... We might see Cataclysm more just because Egypt's kind of trying to figure out what cards they want to run right now. A lot of people consider Egypt to be one of, if not the worst Pantheon at the moment. Calamity, I've not seen it played at all since it was released. Not even a single time, so we'll see if this fits. But even with some of the nerfs Chinese is taking... even with some of the nerfs Chinese is taking, I don't think you're going to be wanting to switch out a lot of cards for a Calamity. I don't know. We'll see. That deck is just so intensive on like exactly what cards you need to play for it to run pretty well. There's like 2 or 3 flex spots, and I don't think Calamity is going to be a card that you want to fit into one of them. Let's see. Crescent Blade, mana increase from 0 to 1. This is hilarious. Because Crescent Blade is now strictly worse than Manifold in every single situation. We'll get down to the Nuwa change in a minute, but this is hilarious because I don't know if this needed this, but okay, so we're going to go down to the Nuwa change because this is paired with each other. Nuwa, add a Crescent Blade to your hand to reduce its cost to 0 until end of turn. So no longer can you stockpile Crescent Blades in a ridiculous number to try to off something across the board. I don't know if this is the cleanest way of doing this. It's cute. and it works, but it's kind of muddled. I don't know. Like, I feel like this is gonna make Chinese take a kind of large hit. On top of the slight Ao Kuang nerf, we're gonna see how that goes, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Chinese take a pretty big hit from this. I still think they're gonna be fine because of the fact that they're still producing spells, and the spells are free. Well, they're not free, but like they're extra cards that you add to your hand. That like when you have extra mana you can use it, but now you have to have extra mana to use these Crescent Blades, and that throws off your curve a ridiculous amount. So we'll see where that takes us. We'll be playtesting some Nuwa, and see where that takes us. Dagaz, cost reduced from 1 to 0. That's fine. Dagaz was a terrible card. Dagaz still doesn't do a whole lot. Dagaz is now a Crescent Blade. Dagaz is now Crescent Blade, but with an upside and reduced mana cost. That's pretty funny, actually. Dagaz is still not good. You probably aren't running Dagaz unless you're running some cheese like Mayhem deck, but you probably shouldn't be running Mayhem anyways because Mayhem's busted. Or if you're just like, I don't know, Norse doesn't have any way to cycle cards. Like if Norse got armaments and not Roman, that'd be sick. I actually might suggest that to like Adonis, like give Roman another card draw card and give maybe armaments to Norse or something. I would be okay with that. I'd be cool with that. But as it stands, there's still no reason to run Dagaz. Dragon King, cost increase from 5 to 6. Cool. Dragon King's a good card. Dragon King's a damn good card. Another thing that this changes, you cannot on 10 mana Ao Kuang Dragon King. That's important. I've seen it happen. It's not fun. I like that this happened. But this is like the best card in Chinese and the second best card in Chinese, probably. Maybe 2 of the top 3 for sure, alongside Guan, but definitely 1, top 3, maybe 2. The 2 best cards in Chinese nerfed, and the leader nerfed. That's going to be interesting. We'll have to see how that plays out. Chinese still has a lot of good cards, but everybody can still run Imperials. They're not just yours to command. We'll see how it works out. I definitely want to play test with some Chinese when the patch drops, see how it works. Fire Giant. Completely new Fire Giant V3 is upon us. Fire Giant says it now has Cleave. That's scary in and of itself. Warcry, deploy 2 Fire Imps. So let's just go over everything before I talk. It cost increased to 8 from 7. Attack reduced from 7 to 5. Health increased from 7 to 8. No longer has Global Guard. Least relevant line of the least relevant text line because it wasn't going to keep this anyways. The cost increase is actually kind of nice because while it requires you to requires you to have 1 more mana to play it, it's now not competing with Blade Master for the 7 mana spot, which is definitely relevant. Competing with Blade Master for the 7 mana spot definitely has its negatives. So now it's the only other cards in this mana spot are Isis and Phantom Grasp. Neither of which are amazing cards. So Fire Giant, if you want to have an 8 mana drop, not a bad card at all. 8 mana also means that you can play it and still have a leader ability up, which is really nice. You could with 7 mana, but I don't know. That was a little awkward. I thought sometimes attack reduced to 5 because 7 damage cleave is ridiculous and should not be in the game. That's fine. Health increased to 8 because he should still be resilient for being an 8-mana unit. Deploy 2 Fire Imps, which is kind of nice because on top of getting a 5/8 cleave body for 8, you also just get a little bit extra damage. And the keyword deploy here should mean that you get to play these Fire Imps yourself. It shouldn't be random spawn. You should be able to deploy them, play them where you want to. Random spawn still a hot point of contention for me. I think I want to see where this goes, though. I think that this is an interesting card. I think that Fire Giant might be played now. A lot of people have been not playing it. It's just not that great right now. Guard is a very underpowered mechanic. For the most part, nobody wants to run guard. Nobody's enjoying running guard. The only guard card that's actually playable for the most, playable, is maybe a little bit rough. But I mean, we saw almost every single guard card change last patch, except for Baboon. Baboon's the only guard card that's playable. That's like tournament viable, and I'm gonna stand by that. Focus Blast. Damage increased from 2 to 3. Heal increased from 2 to 3. Another line of text that's useless. Heal was already 3. But the damage increase from 2 to 3 is really nice because one of the problems with Focus Blast being changed in the first place, this is the second iteration of Focus Blast. Focus Blast used to be deal 4 damage to a tile, for those of you who don't know. And you lost a lot of damage in Egypt when this card changed to 2 damage, heal 3. A lot of damage. And it was changed because Egypt was really dominant at the time. And you could deal a lot of damage on curve. You had a lot of on curve ways to answer threats, and you could get to late game very easily as Egypt against all but like the most nutty of draws and some poor draws on your part. Like your curve was like, you had Sunder turn 1, you can fit Sunder in anywhere basically, as long as you have the extra mana. On turn 2, you have Magma Slam, you can also coin it. On turn 3, you had Focus Blast, which was deal 4, and on turn 4, you had Execute, which was kill anything no matter what. So, unless there was spell immunity, you just had the nuts. But with Focus Blast getting changed a little bit, I think that we're going to see... We saw that drop down a little bit. Egypt became a little less consistent, and the consistency is all but it's ridiculous now, the inconsistency that you can get in Egypt with people aren't running Anhurst because Anhurst bugged. People aren't running Khepri because Khepri doesn't really do as much as you want it to now that it doesn't affect leader auto anymore. And there's just a lot of underpowered Egyptian cards, so Focus Blast coming back into the meta a little bit. I mean, everybody who's running heal-based Raw is probably already running it, but I think it's still just going to be a card that you're running in Egypt no matter what. I don't know. Good change overall. Good change, I think. Hell buff. I talked a little bit about that for too long, but I really wanted to talk about this. I think this is a very interesting change. Probably pretty needed. Egypt has felt pretty bad this patch, the last 2 patches. Hell buff. Passive now gives +2/+2 instead of +1/+1. This is very good. Very worth it. You had a 3/5 for 5 ranged that could waste her attack to give +1/+1. It wasn't the worst. But 3/5 for 5 ranged wasn't like super underpowered, but you had Baboon, who is a 3/7 for 6 range, so that's 2 extra health for 1 mana, and an ability that's also still pretty relevant, probably about the same overall. But Hellbuff now puts her in in kind of like a tier of her own, where her abilities not better than Baboon's, but definitely different, and I think that she's going to be a force to be reckoned with now in probably more mid-rangey control builds of Norse. I definitely want to be testing this out because control Norse is good. Does anyone hit? Let's see. Nuwa. We already went over Nuwa. Pardon. Cost reduced from 2 to 1. Good. Pardon was useless. Nobody was running Pardon. You're probably still not running Pardon. Uh, the reason you were running Pardon is because like old Gungear's Might plus Pardon meant your leader was doing 3 in auto and you weren't doing anything back, so you just like had this death ball of a leader running around the board, and Pardon made that pretty fun. And I don't know, Pardon has felt useless since leaders were taken off the board. I haven't seen anybody run it to good effect. We might see like as a one of, like a fun of Pardon now. Maybe you're more likely to take it off of Valhalla Sorcery than you were before, but I don't think we're going to see a lot of Pardon still. Scion of Doom, Warcry damage increased from 1 to 2. Scion of Doom has... Scion of Doom has gone through the exact same changes so many times. It's so funny. Scion of Doom started at 2 and went to 1 and then went back to 2 and was removed from leaders, and then was playable in leaders again, and then went back to 1, and now he's back to 2 again. I just think that's hilarious. Like, Scion of Doom has just been this fluctuation of the exact same 2 cards over and over again in a wave. I just think it's funny. I think Scion of Doom potentially is playable again, by the way. Not a great card. It's kind of weird to fit Scion of Doom in at the current moment with some of the bug fixes that came this patch, some of the hidden bug fixes. You can't abuse him the same way you could last patch, but I think Scion of Doom's not bad. We might see him in more... You're only going to really see him in aggressive lists. Maybe Norse wants to run him. We'll see. But, yeah, he could be good. Scylla. Thank God. Health reduced from 3 to 2. Scylla was way too resilient for her own damn good. She did not need the buff that she got. And she has been a ridiculous 3-drop since that patch. One of the best 3-drops in the game. And I'm glad she's getting toned down a little bit. I still think this is fine. Like, this is fine. Scylla's fine now. She's still fine. You're still playing her. You're less happy to get her off of Beacon of Hope if you're running it. Looking at you, C4. But Scylla's fine. Surtur now has charge. I don't know about this one. I'm not sure. We'll see. Surtur having charge. I mean, so Surtur has been kind of underpowered when you're looking at, especially with Gallus being good recently. These the 1x cards that came from each Pantheon that had an aura ability. Gallus has really risen to prominence. Spartan's not really great right now, but you can still play him. He's fine, I guess. But Surtur now having charge means that he can get in and allow aggressive decks to deal the damage they need to. Again, you might start seeing this again really heavily in Norse aggro lists, just because if they have a couple of 1/1s around your stone and they play a Surtur, all those guys are now hitting for 2 on 3 mana. Like for a 3 mana swing. Like there's a lot of potential damage that comes out of Surtur having charge. So I think Surtur having charge could be good. I definitely want to play with it. Stone Guardian, another card that's back to its original value. Health increased to 3. Stone Guardian has been useless since its health went down to 2. It can get Sundered, it can get Judgmented, it can get Alquang Crescent Bladed, it can get Alquang Rushing Thunder, it dies to 2 things from Guan more recently. Dies to Athena leader ability. Like, it dies to Kraken. Stone Guardian was absolutely awful with the change to 2 health, and cards being released more recently have just exacerbated that. So, sure, Stone Guardian back up to 3 health. We'll see if he's played. Probably not, but I don't know. Maybe we'll see some people having fun with him. You know you're in 2 voice channels? I'm not in... I don't know that I'm in 2 voice channels. Sub Burning Flare. Yeah, I don't know that I'm in 2 voice channels. I didn't realize that. One of them probably is on mobile. I can hop into the other one though. But yeah, so that's the patch. If you guys have any other questions about how this patch is supposed to shape up, I can give my thoughts. I can give my thoughts on last patch. I'm probably going to be posting this to YouTube this evening as well, just to have it here. I want to get this up. But yeah, that's what I have right now about this patch. Gonna switch over to some Thunderdome in just a minute. Let's hold on a second. Gonna get that. Nope. There we go.